Since I first saw this picture, I have not been able to get it out of my head. 18-year-old Devani Escobar was an only child to parents Mario and Dolores, and they lived in Nuevo León, Mexico, which, fun fact, I lived in Nuevo León at one point in my life. I lived in Monterrey. April 8th of 2022, it was a Friday. That night, Devani went out with two girlfriends, and I can't say with 100% certainty, but I think that Devani had only became friends with that one girl that same year, and she met the other girl for the first time that night. The girls went out in the Escobedo area in Mexico where they were party hopping throughout the night. Around 1:20 a.m. in security camera footage, we see the girls getting out of a car. They had just received a ride from a DD driver, the equivalent of Uber to us. The three girls are seen getting out of the car together, meeting up with a group of boys and walking into the party together. Then Devani is seen walking out alone. Then she's seen walking back in alone. Shortly after, Devani is seen on camera again, but this time she looks to be fighting with a guy. He's clearly running after her and she's clearly pushing him away, trying to get away. A group of people then circle around them, assuming they were trying to help whatever the situation was. At 3:29 a.m., one of Devani's friends, one of the girls that she was out with, sends a message to the driver that gave them a ride earlier that night, asking for him to come pick them up, please. The driver gets there at 3:54 a.m. and the girls ask him to just take Devani home by herself because she had one too many and apparently she was out of control and they wanted to send her home. Devani gets in the car with him and shortly after they are seen on security camera footage. The car is parked, she's sitting in the passenger seat, and it looks like they're arguing with each other because he's looking at her, speaking to her, and she's swinging her arms around, assuming that she was explaining something, but the conversation definitely looks like an argument to anyone that has seen the footage. Then at 4:13 a.m., the driver messages Devani's friend and says that he can't drive Devani in the state that she was in, claiming that she was behaving erratically and stating that he didn't want any problems. He asked the girl if she had Devani's mom's phone number, but she didn't, so they couldn't call her for help. And then he tells her that Devani got out of his car and was refusing to get back inside, letting her know that he wasn't going to force her into his car because she clearly did not want to be in that car. He sends a picture of Devani standing on the side of the highway at 4:25 a.m. to show that she was out of his car, and he was kind of like, well, I can't be responsible for her. Here's a picture of where she is and where she's standing. You should probably come get her because I'm not forcing her in my car and I'm leaving. Devani Escobar never made it home that night, and that eerie picture was the last known picture of her alive. After she didn't return home, Devani's parents knew that something was wrong. They contacted the girls that she was out with, who told them what I just told you and who sent them that picture. Devani's father, Mario, reported his daughter missing to the Nuevo León State Attorney General's office, and that picture of her went absolutely viral on social media, the news of her disappearance spreading quickly. Devani's disappearance sparked outrage and protest in Mexico over something that happens way too often, the disappearance of women and girls all over the country. Her face quickly became the symbol of a fierce and powerful women's rights movement in Mexico, where approximately 10 women are murdered daily and where approximately 7 women disappear every single day. So many girls and women saw themselves in Devani, understanding that that could have been them because of the rising rate of disappearances alongside of violence and organized crimes across Mexico. In Mexico, a woman is approximately every 130 minutes, and 32% of women that have disappeared in Mexico since 1964 have never been found. Because of how angry the public was and had been about this phenomenon for long before Devani went missing, the search for her received a lot of attention. And while searching for her, 5 other bodies were found. And I say bodies because initially it was reported that the bodies of 5 missing girls were found, but then it was announced that those 5 girls were found still alive. So that somehow, some way still remains unclear. For nearly 2 weeks, authorities, friends, and families desperately searched to find Devani. Retracing her steps, authorities found CCTV footage of Devani walking dangerously on the median of a highway. She walks towards a motel. She's seen wandering around the building. It almost looks like she's trying to open the door at one point, and then she stands by herself in a corner, not moving, for 23 minutes right outside of the motel building. And then around 4:56 a.m., she's seen walking past the security camera again outside of the motel and then never seen again. Nobody else is seen on camera during that time apart from her. After 13 days of searching, on April 22nd, she was found. Devani Escobar's body was found in an underground water tank of the Motel Nueva Castilla, a short 1-minute walk from where she was last seen alive. Those tanks are 14 feet deep and they are meant to collect rainwater, and when they're full of water, they're usually closed, but in this case, obviously they were not. That area had been searched 4 times previously, but her remains were not found until the 5th time, and it was only after authorities received complaints from hotel staff of a foul smell, which prompted them to conduct a 5th search in which she was found. She had been submerged in that that water for 2 weeks, leaving her body unrecognizable, but they were able to confirm that it was her before getting the DNA results back by a necklace that she always wore and the outfit that she was wearing that night. The initial autopsy ruled her cause of death a deep cranial contusion, so basically blunt force trauma to the head. Authorities believe that Devani was still alive when she fell in the tank, but they believe that she fell in, hit her head, and drowned. I also read that her body was found in one tank, her purse in another, and her keys and cell phone in the third one, but I'm not sure how true that is. Her family and loved ones, more specifically her father, were very public and very passionate about how they thought that her death being ruled an accident was very wrong. Her father requested her autopsy be looked into and reviewed, and on May 12th, the forensic review results of the initial autopsy came back. Those results ruled out the chance that Devani's death was an accident. It stated that her cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head, but it stated that it was a violent homicide by somebody striking a hard object to her head repeatedly. That report stated that there were signs of SA and that there was no water found in her lungs, completely ruling out the drowning claim. But because there were so many questions and a lot of confusion left still, there was a second and final autopsy done, because remember, there was one autopsy done in the beginning and then a review of that same autopsy that showed kind of completely different results. Well, the final autopsy stated that her cause of death was not blunt force trauma to the head. It was stated as asphyxia by suffocation. It was also stated in that one that she did not suffer SA and that she was believed to have passed away between 3 to 5 days after she went missing. So strange, because that would mean that she was alive for days after she went missing, but where was she, and why did the previous autopsy and the review have a different cause of death than this one, and how in the world could you find signs of SA in one of them but then actually say, actually, never mind, there were no signs of SA? Quite bizarre. As you can imagine, those results added to the inconsistencies and contradictions that were always present during the entire investigation. It provoked national uproar, accusations of a cover-up, and highlighted the government's failure to deliver justice for missing women. There have been zero updates on this case, no arrests have been made, and no persons of interest have ever been named. Devani Escobar was laid to rest on a cemetery located on a hill overlooking the beautiful mountains. Her father has said, quote, "We are destroyed inside, our hearts are broken, we are sick and tired of everything that's happening in Mexico," end quote. I'll end this video with a quote that I read while I was researching for this case, quote, "Women are tired of seeing their mothers, daughters, and sisters and they are trying to do something about it. We are starting to see women organize in all sections of society and breaking traditions and customs to have their voices heard. The government has to change and needs to know that we are not willing to lose even one more woman," end quote. Oh, and while we're here, I also want to clarify, because I've been tagged in some videos expressing opinions on true crime content and true crime creators. I obviously can't speak for others, but to me, these stories are not entertainment. They are not fun stories to tell. I don't sit here and have such a great time and so much fun telling these stories, because they are not fun. They are tragic. I personally find the psychology of true crime cases very intriguing, and every case leaves me with so many questions. But the reason I tell stories such as this one is because I find these stories so important to be heard, not only to fight for justice, but also to spread awareness of how important it is to be aware and vigilant, and to spread the story for it to be heard by as many people as possible, to spread the word to get these families justice, and to remember and honor the victims who have lost their lives. Just wanted to clarify that so you know where my intentions lie when I'm telling these stories. And I do love talking to you guys, don't get me wrong. I love this community that we've built. I love talking to you guys in the comments, but I think all of us can agree that these stories are not fun. And it is heartbreaking that I will never run out of stories to tell, because these things happen so often. But I feel like that's the point. That's why we talk about it, for awareness, because if we don't talk about it, we just ignore it, then what? And if I ever do read that a family doesn't want the story to be talked about, I'm not going to talk about it. But when it comes to a family seeking justice and wanting their voice to be heard, I do think it's extremely important to get the stories in front of as many eyes and ears as possible. Anyway, that's my stance on that. That is all I have for today's video. Thank you guys for spending time with me today and for listening to Devani's story. I hope you guys are having the best day. If not, go do something to make it the best day. Make somebody happy, and I will see you in my next video. Massive kiss on the forehead to every single one of you.